It's Community Corner. This is where we highlight people in and of the community giving back, doing amazing things, sharing their story. And today's guest is no exception. Her name, Maggie Whittum. She is the producer and lead subject of a documentary that we'll talk about in a little bit called The Great Now What, that talks about stroke, disability, chronic pain, and the healing power of art. So good morning, Maggie. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for taking some time. This means a lot. It is Stroke Awareness Month, ladies and gentlemen, if you did not know that. And we wanted to bring some awareness. And Maggie's going to give us a whole bunch of information about her story and a lot of statistics that may startle you. Right? It's a lot of information here. So first of all, let's talk about who you are. You're not a native of Denver, but kind of Colorado, correct?
Right. I've lived in Denver now for 8 years and a bit before that too. But I grew up in Steamboat Springs up in the mountains and born and raised there and went to college in Colorado Springs and then was gone for a long time, but I've been back since 2016.
Nice. Okay. I've never been to Steamboat Springs. I have to make my way.
You have a long list of places.
I know. I have to go check it out there.
It's beautiful.
That's what I hear. There's a lot to do there. Okay. So tell us a little bit about you and this documentary that's coming out, as I mentioned, you are the lead subject of it, and it has to do with strokes and stroke awareness. Tell us a little bit about your story and how we got here.
So I was 33 years old, and I had a stroke out of the blue. And I didn't realize that you could have a stroke when you were that young. Mm-hmm. And I was really fit, and I didn't have any kind of warning signs, right? It just happened, and it really changed my life. It's an incredibly life-changing disease. And so I decided to make a film about my experience with it.
Can you explain, what exactly happens when you have a stroke? What is a stroke?
So a stroke is when there's either a blockage or a bleed in your brain, and then your brain is deprived of oxygen and it starts to die.
And it can just happen out of nowhere, no warning signs?
Right. You definitely want to do what you can to prevent strokes. There are a lot of, lifestyle things that you can do to help prevent them, including reducing your stress, eating healthy foods, getting exercise, getting your blood pressure checked, quitting smoking if you smoke.
Yeah. And from a medical standpoint, you said you were healthy, right? And where you had an active lifestyle. Medically, what did they explain to you as to why this happened? It's just a random thing that just can happen to anyone or was there anything that kind of led to that?
So a lot of strokes have no known cause. About 40% of them do. But I had something called a cavernous malformation, which is a blood vessel malformation in the brain, and 1 in 500 people has one of them, and they can cause small symptoms like numbness or seizures. They can cause big symptoms like strokes, and that's when I found out I had a cavernoma in my brain is when I was having a stroke.
Understood here. And I'm looking at a statistic here, and I got this from the clip of the documentary that was sent over. Someone has a stroke every 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's insane. And we've been talking for how long now? Just think about that.
Yeah.
Tell us what it means to you to be able to have stroke awareness for all the people who's listening, because people are so informed or uninformed about this horrible disease. What does it mean to you to be able to spread the word about what happened to you and how you can prevent this happening to them?
Well, I certainly did not have any personal experience with stroke or anyone in my family surviving a stroke and living after, and life after a stroke is radically different. And, I felt like I didn't know. I didn't know you could have a stroke this early in life, and you really can, and they're a lot more common than you would think. You can have a stroke as a newborn.
Oh, wow.
So getting the word out there about it's not just a situation that elderly people face.
And I think it's probably important for people to know what to look for in their peers or their family members, right? Because is it one of those things where the quicker you catch it, the better the outcome?
Exactly. So there are two types of strokes. One is the blockage kind, which is a blood clot, and one is the bleed kind. And I was having a hemorrhagic stroke, which is the bleed kind. And the only treatment for that is brain surgery, which is really dangerous. But ischemic stroke is the clot kind, and that's where there's a blood clot. And you can get medication that will bust that clot. But you got to get it early. You got to get to the hospital as soon as possible so they can give you this medication. 87% of strokes are this kind of stroke, so it's likely that if you're experiencing symptoms, it might be this type of stroke. And the acronym for what to look for is BEFAST, BEFAST, B for balance if you have balance issues suddenly, E for eyes if you have vision problems, changes suddenly, F for face if your face is drooping on one side, A for arms if one of your arms is unequal, S for speech if you can't answer a simple question like, what day of the week is it? T is time to call 911.
Love that. Be fast.
Yeah.
Remember that. Yeah, that's good. I'm looking at some statistics here that for Black and brown folks, this affects us in a lot of ways as well. Stroke is, having a stroke can affect us all in many ways. We all already know that, as Maggie is sharing with us. But it says risk of having a first stroke is nearly twice as high for non-Hispanic Black adults as for white adults, and non-Hispanic Black adults and Pacific Islander adults have the highest rates of death due to stroke. So there's preventative measures that you have to take. You have to go see a doctor, and as you said, be fast, be aware of these. And we're going to post that. We have to put that up somewhere so people know about that. How's your mental health, Maggie? I wanted to ask you that.
Ooh, challenging. It's such a life-changing disease, and so much, you can lose so much depending on how severe the outcome is. You may lose what your body was, what your vision was, what your speech was. You may lose your job and your whole career. You may lose your money, and you go on government assistance, losing your romantic relationship. There's so much loss involved at once after a stroke, and it can be really psychologically challenging.
Yeah, I can imagine. We watched the trailer to your film, and the parts where you were taking your old pictures and like scratching them up or drawing on them. So I also suffer from a chronic condition, obviously very different, but I felt that so deeply, like looking at who you used to be and the life you used to lead, and like how that changes physically, but also in your mind. It was very powerful.
Thank you. Thank you for checking it out. I appreciate that. And yes, I was an actor before my stroke. I've since started acting again, but I had this picture of myself that was my headshot as an actor. Very pretty headshot, pretty white woman with a nice, symmetrical face and smile and stuff. And I had this picture of myself, and I didn't recognize myself anymore as that person, and it was really heartbreaking. And so I took the picture and I started to disassemble it and reassemble it in different ways to try and show people what I felt like what my soul felt like.
Wow. Yeah. So powerful. And the part that really touched me in that same trailer was "She is gone," written across the face. She is gone. Was it difficult? Is it difficult to face that?
Absolutely. And so much can disappear after a stroke, and it feels like everything is over sometimes. But one of the mantras of my film is the end of everything is also the beginning of something else.
Yeah.
Love to hear that. And now I want to talk about how you heal, because art is a way that you heal. Now, how did you discover that, and what are some of the ways that helps during your healing process to be creative and use art to do so?
Thank you. Initially I was using the visual arts to show my journey. I did these collage pieces with my old headshot, and then I also created some Barbies that kind of showed what my body felt like, trying to make it visual, what I was experiencing with pain and numbness and everything in my body. And also some vision. I did some things where I took a picture and made it look like it does with double vision, which is very disorienting. And then further into my recovery, I started to act again and got on stage with Family Theater Company, which is a company here in Denver that only casts actors with disabilities. And that has been an incredibly healing part of my life as well.
We've had them on. They were amazing.
Yeah, they're
they
great.
came by for one of these segments. So
Yeah, and I think let's talk about your film for a little bit. Even the title I love, The Great Now What. I think, whether you're a chronic illness baddie or just a regular person, we can all kind of have those moments in our lives where we're like, great, now what? And I really love that that's the title and the stance you take. So what are you hoping your film will do for people?
I really hope that people feel seen by this film. People who have dealt with stroke or brain injury, which is very similar, people with chronic illnesses, people with chronic pain. These populations, are, any kind of person with disability, these populations are so often pushed to the side and invisibilized and, told you don't matter. And my film is a recognition of this population and how much they have to offer.
That's beautiful.
it is great. And when are you expecting the film to be out or available for everyone to be able to view it?
We're still in process, in production, and so then we have to go through post-production and then film festivals and everything. So I really hope it'll be available to the public in 2026.
Okay.
And if you go to the website, you can sign up on our email list and find out about updates about the film and know when you might be able to see it and follow our whole journey and learn along the way.
As much as you can, yeah. It is powerful, as Lamali said, to watch the trailer of it. It's about 2 minutes or so. So if you could give them the information, the website, and how they can get more information about you, your journey, and if they want information about stroke awareness as well.
So the website for the film is the title, thegreatnowwhat.com. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at thegreatnowwhat.
Okay.
So you can find us there. And in terms of learning about stroke, I think this CDC, the Center for Disease Control, has some really interesting facts about it that will blow your mind about how common it is and how much money it's costing the entire country every year and then what populations it's really affecting. So I would say check out the CDC website.
Okay, and I want to remind everyone again, it is Stroke Awareness Month, and if someone has a stroke every 40 seconds. How long have we been talking? That's a lot of strokes.
Yeah.
So please take care of yourself, your family members. Can you say the B fast again, what those stand for? Because I want people to know that and absorb that.
Be fast is balance, eyes, face, arms, speech, T. T is time. Your brain is, dying right now. You got to call 911 right now.
You have to, yes. This is amazing. We salute you in your journey and everything and your strength. Cannot wait to see this film. So thank you for sharing your story with our audience, and Godspeed with everything moving forward. Thank you for your courage today.
Thank you so much for having me.